March, April, first dose, then May, June, second dose. We move then into phase 2 of our program that looks at economic group, and then phase 3 that moves into the general population. But what happens on March 10? As per the standard, we indicated that the vaccination program will begin 48 hours after receipt of the vaccines at the airport. Therefore, our schedule is for us to begin our vaccination program on Wednesday, March 10. And if we go to the slide that points out the weekly schedule of vaccinations, next slide, next. We'll see that on Wednesday, approximately 3,280 persons will be vaccinated. Please note that the vaccination program is always in groups of 10 for this first phase in March, because the vial comes with 10 doses in each vial. And therefore, in order to prevent wastage, we always have to round up in terms of our dispensation to factors of 10. And so you'll see, so it's not just because we want to round up, because we're estimating, but we have to manage supply in a way that maximizes the dose per vial. So week 1, we intend, as the minister said, to inoculate 17,050 healthcare workers. Week 2, 11,430 healthcare workers. But in week 2, we now will also be inoculating persons from the JDF and the JCF. And then in week 3, we continue the inoculation of healthcare workers, the JDF, the JCF, and then we begin to introduce the elderly population in week 3. So we have separated our estimations or our targets into our health regions. So the Southeast Regional Health Authority, the Northeast Regional Health Authority, the Southern Regional Health Authority, and the Western Regional Health Authority. On Wednesday, in week 1, these health facilities will be open for the inoculation of healthcare workers only. And we now introduce the logo for our vaccination program. Thank you very much. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Pierce Brand. I'm going to ask the Minister of Local Government to give us a brief on the meetings that you have had with the sector dealing with burials.
Thank you, Prime Minister, colleagues. In response to the concerns raised by the afterlife industry, a number of meetings have been facilitated since Friday into today, where frank and open discussions took place amongst leaders in the sector. The government is sensitive of the concerns and the realities facing persons in the sector, and as the country is aware that the ban on burials came into effect today. Arising out of those discussions, we heard concerns about persons who are employed in the industry providing service in the preparation of digging graves and building vaults. We consider a proposal which we will be considering, and when I meet with the industry again on Thursday to continue the discussions, a number of issues have been placed on the table. We are considering to provide a financial grant to those persons who will be affected because of the ban that is placed on burials over the next 2 weeks. And this grant will be provided to those who I said before are responsible for the construction of the graves and the digging of the graves and the building of the vaults once we have agreed. The other area that we have been discussing that we will advance those discussions on Thursday is the burial or the cremation of bodies that are in an advanced state of decomposition, the burial or cremation of bodies that are not in an advanced stage of decomposition but have been recommended for immediate burial by the appropriate health authorities, and the burial or cremation of indigent persons who die in the custody of the state. Many other proposals have been placed on the table, and as I said before, these discussions are ongoing. We will meet again on Friday to examine the remainder of the proposals, and then we will give a definite signal to the industry based on the 4 areas that I've just outlined a short while ago. Let me again state that the ban on burials came in effect today, and it will last for 2 weeks, but the discussion still continues with members of the sector. That is just a brief overview, Prime Minister, of what has been taking place since the announcement.
Thank you, Minister Mackenzie. We've reached the end of this segment of the press conference where we present the various reports, and we are now open to questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And thank you so much to members of the public. We do have some people on social media who are posing some questions, but of course, as usual, our media partners are the ones who are online who have several questions. Ahead of us starting, I did explain to our media partners that we're using the Zoom webinar platform, which gives a little bit more reliability in terms of how we stream. And so all they need to do is use the raise hand feature. Once we identify them, they will be able to ask their questions, and so and to turn their mics on. And so let's start off with Brittany Clark from Nationwide Radio. Brittany, and then I'll tell you the lineup so that you can know on your end for the journalists who made that suggestion. You'll be able to know on your end who is next. So let's start off with Brittany Clark from Nationwide Radio.
Hi, good evening, everyone. All right, my hand wasn't raised as yet, but since I was called upon, I have just one quick question. In relation to the COVID-19 variant, the UK variant that was now confirmed, of course, among the persons who have no travel history, is it safe to say now that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is saying that that is probably a direct link to the reason for the spike in the cases or the rapid spike in the cases over time?
The CMO will address that question.
Good afternoon, everyone. There are several factors that is contributing to the spike in the number of cases, and I believe, and the ministry does believe, that the most important part of that is in terms of the adherence or lack of adherence to protocols. Certainly, if we have what we have seen with having this variant in several parishes, is that it may contribute, and it should contribute, to more transmission in those areas. And of course, there's also the fact that if you now have 2 strains in the country, then there's also the possibility that persons can become infected again with a different strain. So there are reasons to believe that it can contribute to the spike, but the important thing is that regardless of whether it is a more transmissible variant, it is the same measures that need to be put in place to control. And if we do not put these measures in place, regardless of the variant, we're going to continue to have exposure and risk.
I'm sorry, Brittany is now indicating that she has a quick follow-up, so we'll allow that, and then we go to Ms. Dion Jackson-Miller next. So, Brittany, is it that
Thank you?
Okay,
Thank
go ahead.
Yes, so the follow-up question, or the question I have for Prime Minister Holness, Prime Minister Holness, you said we're now at a trigger point, and we know that the numbers are increasing, persons are not abiding by protocol, and now, persons would have come with the anticipation that we're awaiting stricter measures. When exactly would you say that you'll be willing to now implement these stricter measures? Thank you.
Well, you're in that phase. We continue to observe the impact of the measures that we have already put in place, which, it's very much a mixed signal. We put measures in, and we put them in on the Sunday. By the Monday, a host of complaints by all kinds of stakeholders saying, I am going to be disenfranchised or disadvantaged, or my freedom is restricted. It's as if the question was, why put in these measures? Now we are in a situation where I guess it is explicit now. It is clear that there is an immediate danger. And so the argument has shifted. When are you coming with stricter measures? The government has always acted based on evidence, based on data. So we have always been evidence-based. We have always acted in what we call a situationally appropriate way. So we look at all the elements that make up the situation, and we try to come up with a solution that best addresses all the issues. And then we act proportionately. We don't act more than what is necessary. We gauge our response to how we have defined the problem. So where we are now, the measures we have put in place, we have given 3 weeks for them to work. If they don't work, then there would be more measures to come. And I'm being upfront with the nation to say, as I've always said, a lockdown is not off the books. We have never been this close to it, but we are very close to it now.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Let's then go to Dion Jackson-Miller of RGR. Dion, I think you're on mute. You need to now unmute yourself.
Oh, I actually had clicked to just.
You caught us this time,
Thank
right?
you.
It's you. All right.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Mr. Prime Minister, you speak of taking the possibility of taking additional measures if the cases continue to increase. But 1 year into the pandemic, can you explain why the government hasn't implemented legislative measures that would allow for the imposition of ticketing and fines for not wearing masks? That's one question. How much longer would you be calling on people to wear masks instead of actually taking actions to try to have it done? That's one question. My second question has to do with a comment that the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association made on our newscast this evening. She said, and I quote, "Many of our members are still not fit tested and have to continue to work. We have interns, she said, calling out for guidelines of how to resuscitate patients without proper gear. When you resuscitate patients, the risk of COVID is very high. And in this case, many of our doctors do not have fitted N95 masks, and they're watching their co-interns drop like flies from COVID. End of quote. So there are two parts to that question, because I acknowledge the issue of fit testing is one and the issue of the availability of the mask is the other. Given that a doctor said to me that it's shocking to hear this, he said the process to do fit testing is simple, quick, doesn't take any fancy expensive resources. Can I ask why 1 year into the pandemic we still have doctors working who have not been fit tested? The second part relates to the availability of the mask. We don't seem to hear much about this. I know there's a worldwide shortage, but is the government moving earth and heaven to ensure that we get masks, because our healthcare workers are clearly being put at risk by their own description? So that's the issue of the ticketing and the fines, the issue of the fit testing itself, as well as the issue of the masks.
I'm glad you have brought these two issues to the public fore. I did not personally hear the comments of the medical professional who spoke, but I wish to say to all the medical practitioners, the frontline workers, that your sacrifice is very much appreciated, and we don't take your suggestions, your concerns lightly. I'm going to ask the CMO, or probably the permanent secretary, but more likely the CMO, to come and address it. But to the point, yes, the government takes these concerns very seriously. And aside from making the budgetary allocation, which we have done, and that is not, I doubt it, PS, that would be the issue, the budgetary allocation. We have made the budgetary allocations. It would probably be supply and logistics issues, but the CMO would be in a better position to answer you on those questions, Dion, and she will come shortly. Like you, I am also very frustrated sometimes with the legislative process. As you can imagine, it is not always a straightforward one, and there are many competing views. Some people will say, the law is a competition for the best view, and that sometimes you don't settle on those views immediately or lightly. They take deep analysis. But let me be clear, however, that the existing laws do allow for some level of enforcement of the Disaster Risk Management Act. We contemplated ticketing as a more explicit and efficient process of enforcement. There are some issues with that. I won't go into those details now as to how the ticketing would be implemented. We are very close to putting that legislation in now, as I had promised that it would come within the first week of the new budget year. So the whole ticketing process is now at our legislative committee, which is the penultimate stage before it reaches Parliament. So we are on track, and yes, I agree with you, it has taken a long time, but as an attorney yourself, you would recognize that some of these issues have to be thoroughly debated before we can come to the legislative conclusions. But there are other measures which will require legislation as well, which we are contemplating in a meeting with the churches recently, and I have to give them credit for this. They pointed out that the enforcement is not only against the individual not wearing a mask, which may prove difficult in certain circumstances, but really there needs to be greater enforcement against institutions, meaning, business places and other such places where persons gather to transact business or for social interaction. That there should be a burden imposed as well on those persons who host or have such spaces. So that is also now being contemplated as another more explicit means of enforcement. And I'm glad you have raised the issue, Dion, about enforcement. We've been very careful not to impose too much on the public's freedom. But I believe we are at a stage now where, our very cautious approach to it, we now have to be far more assertive in the enforcement of the protocols, because it is now putting the entire public good at risk.
I believe the CMO, sir, would now respond to the question.
Okay, we have come a long way since last year, March, and we're in a much better position than we were, I would say, a couple of months ago in terms of supplies and our ability to be comfortable with the amount of supplies that we have. We really made a particular effort coming into the end of the year to ensure that we had stockpiled quite a bit of personal protective equipment in preparation for the surge. However, we do understand that there are going to be times that they are certain, because there's such a wide range of masks that there are going to be times that you are going to have masks you are short. But we have not had reports, because we have meetings with the regions every day, and we have not had reports of any wide-scale lack of personal protective equipment at this time. Although I do say that from time to time you're going to have particular sizes that you may be out of. Now, that poses a problem with fit testing, because the fact is that you fit test for what is available. And you may find that you start out in March and you do fit testing for A, B, and C mask, and then 6 months later, there's no A, B, and C mask. And so your entire team need to be fit tested again. When we started out with the pandemic, the Ministry of Health had guided the fit testing process because we wanted to get everybody on board quickly and have all the hospitals covered. The regions have taken over the fit testing, in arranging the fit testing. So I'm not sure where they are in terms of if they have to fit test persons again. Earlier on in the pandemic, we did have problems. It is a simple process, but it requires a kit. And we did have problems with obtaining the kit. And so there was a gap about in the middle of last year where we could not fit test persons because we had no kits in country. However, at this time, I'm not sure if that is the issue, because it really has become the regions that have taken on this process of fit testing. But I hear what you say. I heard the report on the news this evening. I was a little surprised at the report, but I wasn't shocked, because the fact is that management issues, local management issues management has to address the problems that are faced in every institution, and it's going to be different from institution to institution. So, I would really just encourage persons, all the teams on the ground, to ensure that everybody is a part of the team and that we are listening to what our healthcare workers say at the head of department level, at the head of hospital level, at the head of parish level, so that we can address these issues. Because particularly at this time, if we don't have the strength and the support of the healthcare workers, if they feel as if they are not a part of the team and their concerns are not being addressed, then we're bound to fail, and we cannot afford for that to happen. So I'd really just encourage, coming out of the report that I heard on the newscast, that the local management teams get involved and try to solve these problems. From a ministry level, we continue to engage in ensuring that we have adequate amount of PPEs in Ireland.
Thank you, CMO. Today, I suppose, we'll do some quick follow-up. So Mrs. Jackson-Miller had a quick follow-up, so let's just do the quick follow-up now. Maybe a little bit more efficient this way, too.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I hear what you've said, CMO, but given that we are in a pandemic and given that the lives of these healthcare workers are at risk, if the ministry is hearing these concerns coming from the regional and the local level, don't you think it's time for the ministry to step in? Because clearly what you're calling for isn't happening in terms of the matter being resolved at the local level, or we wouldn't have these calls coming from the head of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association. So is it not time for the ministry to take a much more active role than to simply say we encourage the regions to fix this?
I'm not going to attempt to answer on behalf of the CMO, but since it is a management, it has been reduced to a management issue. That is something that the government, from the level of the cabinet through the minister on through the permanent secretary, will address. As I've said, I'm hearing this issue being brought through the media to the attention of the government. We are very, very sympathetic and always very concerned when these issues are raised, and I will personally ensure that it is addressed along with the Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. Mindful of the time, let me just go to a few from social media, then we come to Nadine Harris-Wilson. Nadine, if you could remind us the media entity. But before we get to Nadine, Prime Minister, there is someone on Facebook who's asking, for persons with chronic comorbidities, asthma, high blood pressure, diabetes, etc., who are not elderly nor frontline workers, but still very high risk, which phase do they fall into?
I'll ask the CMO to address that.
For this group of persons, we are going to have to be dependent on our providers to submit, because our providers are submitting the list of names of persons who they have within their practices that are both persons that are elderly persons, and we would encourage to say persons with comorbidities as well. From the public sector perspective, we are using the chronic disease registers, and so we would not only be looking at the persons that are over 60, but the persons who would be registered as having chronic illnesses as well. So I would encourage the private practitioners who are submitting their list of the elderly persons to also submit those persons who have the comorbidities.
Thank you so much, CMO. Then let's get to Mrs. Nadine Harris, Wilson Harris. Nadine, good evening. I believe this is the first time you're joining us for this press conference. If you could just remind us of the media entity you represent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nadine Wilson Harris. I'm from the Gleaner Company. All right, so I only have one question. Would like to find out, do we have sufficient health officials, particularly nurses, to assist with the vaccination rollout? I get to understand that some nurses haven't been turning up for the training sessions.
I'll ask the PS, you take this one. PS Dunstan Bryan will address this.
Thank you, Prime Minister. To date, some 580 persons have been trained to be part of the entire vaccination program, and the training continues. Now, in terms of nurses not turning up for training, we have not received that report in center. As a matter of fact, we have had several training sessions over the last 3 weeks with full participation of different types of healthcare workers that will be part of the overall implementation. So we will investigate that to determine the veracity of that report.
Thank you so much, Permanent Secretary. We have two last questions that we will entertain given the time. Then let's quickly, one question from Ms. Burton, and then The Gleaner's Damian Mitchell. We can wrap up. After that, there are two comments, sir, Prime Minister, on social media. One having to do a real question, asking for air traffic controllers to be part of the essential services sector that would be vaccinated along with PICA employees.
We'll take it under consideration.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Ms. Burton then. Zara? Ms. Burton? I'm not hearing or seeing Zara. Then let's go to
I think
Damien.
her mic is on mute. It's unmuted,
I just
no?
came off.
Oh, boy, I tell you guys, come on, sharper. Mic's on mute. Good evening, Zara. Your question, please.
Hi. Sorry about that. My questions are for the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Honus, can you speak to the issue of the Jodianne Ferron investigation and where we are with it? I wanted to know, for instance, if there has been a report produced at the administrative level that could be shared with journalists. That's one. Next is, and I'm asking because I believe it was you who had ordered the investigation, I think. The second question is about, again, the data breach. When Amber Group gave the Jam COVID app as a gift to the government of Jamaica, as it was reported in the papers, the data being retained, do they get to use that data for their own uses in return for it being free?
Those are your two questions?
Yes.
Let's start with the Jodianne, very terrible incident of the Jodianne Ferron. I obviously was not prepared to address that issue today. My recollection is that there was a police investigation, and from that a report would have been done. I'm going to ask the Minister of Health if he has further information to just bring it to public attention. But what I will do, Zara, is I will go and find out further, and at our next press conference, I will update. Would that be satisfactory?
Well, just because the minister is there too, you were saying, so maybe he could give an update as well, just in case he has one that's more.
No, I'll ask the minister to come. I doubt he will have any more to say on it. Our policy is always that we try to be properly briefed before we speak. But we'll try to provide you with the information because obviously it is something of public interest. As it relates to the information that is collected on Jam COVID, I recall that you had asked questions about tracking data, and we had committed that that data would be deleted from the system after quarantine ended, and that is the case. As it relates to other data, even though it is on the platform, it is not the property of the developer. It is the property of the government of Jamaica. And that data is treated and dealt with under the various laws that exist to protect the data of Jamaican citizens. The data is still valuable and still being used to track the pandemic and to have general understanding of spread and use in our contact tracing exercises and so forth. So at the end of the pandemic, the individualized data certainly will be deleted from the system. Of course, the general information, the total numbers and so forth, those would still be of statistical value.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. A final question then comes from the Gleaner Company, Mr. Jovan Johnson. Good evening. Is it Jovan or Damian Mitchell? One of the two, I believe so. I know the Gleaner had their hand up. Are they forfeiting their opportunity to ask a question?
Hello?
All right. Who's on?
This is Damian. Are you
All
there?
right. Mr. Mitchell. Yes, so that's you
Yes,
with the
ma'am.
last question. Good evening.
Yes. Can you say, probably the CMO or the health minister, whether there is any investigation or indication as to whether the current vaccine is effective against the UK variant. That's question one. And my second question is for the Prime Minister. I heard your appeal last week, sir, for personal responsibility in the COVID fight. But weeks earlier, you had also said that the time for moral suasion had ended. How satisfied are you then with the level of enforcement of the COVID containment measures since that pronouncement by you that the time for moral suasion had ended?
Damian, I'm thanking you for the question. I'm going to ask the CMO to just come and quickly answer you on the AstraZeneca one. I believe that's a fairly simple answer. The CMO had addressed it last week, and then I'll come back and address the question you've asked.
Yes, so we have been seeing data that have shown that the AstraZeneca vaccine is in fact effective against the UK variant. Even up to last week, we saw data coming out of the UK that showed that the AstraZeneca vaccine is both effective in the elderly population as well as in cases where you have the UK variant.
Much has been said about enforcement. And this pandemic has been a test for Jamaica's legal system. It's a test for our law enforcement system. And it is a test for our society. What kind of society do we have? Is this a society where the law presumes the reasonable man, and therefore the action of the responsible and reasonable citizen would not need a high level of enforcement? As the government, we have to be very careful how hard we push, because there are many social issues that could lead to adverse reactions from the population. People are out of jobs. The psychological and emotional impact for being restricted from having fun and having the ability to move around freely. The constant, flow of news that can really bring people into a state of depression. And one has to be very careful how you then pile on top of that an aggressive and overly assertive law enforcement strategy. So the ultimate tool in a free and democratic society is the government's ability to appeal to the reason of its citizen. What we have seen demonstrated over the past few days in videos being circulated and in those who should know better breaking the law is a high level of unreasonableness, especially in the face of the numbers that we have seen. And it is not for want of the government giving notice, advising, explaining that if you take certain actions, if you behave in a certain way, this will be the result. So government's enforcement strategy, therefore, has to be explicitly justified, because someone will take you to the courts to say, you have abused my rights. I have a right not to wear a mask. And who knows, they might likely win in the courts. And then what would that do to government's enforcement? So we have to be very careful. We have to be very strategic in what we do. And we have gotten this far in maintaining a very considered approach. But where we are now is that the public good is threatened. It can't be the case that the individual right rises above the public good. Where we are now is that we have to place the public good, the ability to get treatment in a hospital if it should become the case that you need it. That must take precedence over your convenience and comfort. to be able to go to parties and gather as you would wish without wearing a mask and social distancing. And because it is absolutely clear in the public's mind now, and clear to the government and to the police, we will start a more assertive campaign for enforcing the protocols under the Disaster Risk Management Act and other pieces of legislation which govern public order. I must at this point commend the police for the incredible level of, I don't want to say tolerance, because you cannot tolerate bad behavior. Must not be tolerated. They didn't tolerate it. But they exercise a high level of judgment. It is not that those persons who wantonly break the law will not be prosecuted. The question is how and when, and if you do it in such a way to take away your own justification in enforcing. And I think that the police has been under a lot of strain lately. I have spoken to a few of them, and they have expressed incredible frustration. You know, they have gone, they have enforced, and by the time they go before the courts, persons are back out, and they just feel as if they are powerless. No society can progress without having a strong law enforcement capability. And no society can progress without that capability being used with great consideration. What must be clear to the Jamaican citizens is that your government respects your rights and will only use any form of force unless it is justified. I am of the view, certainly the Cabinet is of the view, that it is justifiable now to be more assertive in the enforcement of the protocols that are in place.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen of the media and ladies and gentlemen of the public, for joining us this evening for our media briefing and, of course, heralding the first batch of vaccines that arrived in Jamaica for our inoculation exercise. Please be reminded that the presentations, especially by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Mr. Dunstan Bryan, outlining the centers for vaccination and also the schedule in terms of persons to be vaccinated, can be found on the Ministry's website. We thank you so much for joining us. Please remember the protocols, social distance, stay safe, and of course, if you're not feeling well, please stay at home. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you again sometime soon. Good night.
The voice there of Naomi Francis. She is the press secretary in the office of the Prime Minister, closing out the media briefing put on by the office of the Prime Minister. Of course, some major news coming out of that, Daniel. The vaccines are in the country. The 50,000 doses offered to us by the government of India arrived, and they've been cleared. Yes, and vaccination will start on Wednesday. The Prime Minister also issued what could be described as a stark warning that if the numbers in terms of the COVID-19 positive cases do not begin to fall, the government will have to consider additional measures which will have an impact on the economy. The Health Minister also addressed the media conference, and he revealed that the UK variant of the virus has been detected in Kingston and St Andrews, St Catherine, St James, Trelawney and Clarendon. And if you may recall, listeners, viewers on YouTube, this UK variant is said to be way more transmissible than the novel coronavirus, the first strain that causes COVID-19.
Also interesting, coming out of the briefing, we learned about the afterlife meeting with the Minister of Local Government.
Afterlife sector.
Yes, the afterlife. I like saying that because most people say, huh? What was that? That's what it's called. And note the discussion about giving them a financial grant. Interesting. Catering, of course, to those who would be affected by closing down that particular sector. You clearly see the attempt by the administration to strike that balance, hesitating, I would say, those are my words, in having a lockdown, because you have to appreciate the hardships that would be caused if we were to impose this. Leaning again on moral suasion, imploring the population to comply, of course, with that big stick that says if you don't, we are closer to that point where we will certainly have to treat with it.
But the Prime Minister has raised an interesting point, and it's a point that we've debated vigorously on the newsroom floor here at Nationwide, about the government's chances of winning if someone decides to take the state to court with regards to some of the measures being implemented under the Disaster Risk Management Act.
Look, it is my considered view, just my view, my humble view, with respect to the legislation, that it needs a lot of work. Whether or not it is sufficient to justify the acts that have operated under it is up for determination, because
by a court, yes.
By a court, because there are things that we're asked to do that I would submit would not be covered by the GRMA at this time. And it is
for any piece of legislation.
It is for that reason why I think there is great difficulty in enforcement. It is perhaps for that reason that there are others who argue that the government has been lethargic in putting forward a comprehensive legislation to treat with the issues that have arisen under COVID. For instance,
so pandemic specific
in other jurisdictions,
legislation.
Correct. In other jurisdictions, you would have legislation that treats with evictions. You have legislation that treats with sick leave, how it is that employers are to consider sick leave or termination in these circumstances. Do recall when this just started, many persons were sent home. The question about their rightful compensation under such circumstances.
For a couple of months,
yes.
Initially at the outset, yes.
One would argue that legislation to cover the full gamut of the impact of COVID-19 is outstanding. And we can't simply be amending that which exists to cover our base. What we really do need is comprehensive legislation. But we seem to be shackled by the view that legislation takes forever and a day to pass.
And there's no need to if the Parliament gets to work.
That is a figment of their imagination. Because if you really want to get it done, then you get it done. There are parliaments at work overtime, long hours just to push it through. What would preclude you from doing so now and to ensure that you have the proper coverage to do that which you need to do?
And we are in a crisis. So, yes. Well, all right, listeners, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll use the last few closing moments to take a couple of your calls just to hear your views on what the issues of the day. 876, the lines to reach us, 876-630-93714. That's 876-630-93714. 876-618-8255. Soon come.
When was the last time you carried out a check to see if they were working properly?
Well, Doctor, some are heart good, but no smoke or drink. Some are kidney and liver okay.
No, not those. I'm talking about the state of your pipes.
Oh, those. Well, it's a long time I haven't checked on them.
Remember, check for leaks, especially if there's a change in your consumption pattern. At least each week, turn off your pipes, then check if the meter is still registering. Don't ignore the state of your pipes. It could leave you in critical financial condition if you are hit with a large bill. That was a message from the NWC.
Bashco time. All the things that you need for your home. The price is so low, you will never need a loan at Bashco. At Bashco. Appliances, household furniture and rugs, gifts and linens and glass and mugs at Bashco. At Bashco. Whether they north or south, in the east and the west, Bashco them all over. They must be the best at Bashco. At Bashco. At Bashco. At Bashco. 30 years of giving you more.
This are the national dengue-free crew. Come join the fight, stop mosquito from bite you. That mean we are go clean up school, workplace, home and community too. We have a task, a plan, every crevice and corner for clean of the plan. Make we get rid of dengue across the island. Let's put it on the Facebook and Instagram. Tell the whole nation, say, these are the national dengue-free crew. Come join the fight, stop mosquito from bite you.
Mosquitoes wanted dead, not alive. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
As more and more people stay in, you need to bring your business to your customers. And the Sagicor Bank makes that easier with Swipe. Equip your delivery staff with the Sagicor Bank Swipe Terminal and accept debit and credit card payments almost anywhere. Apply online for Swipe today at sagicor.com. Sagicor Bank, helping you change the way you do business with Swipe, supporting growth, supporting Jamaica.
Hi there, I'm Barry Williams. I'm Managing Director of Barry Williams and Associates. We're training consultants. We have provided training to some of the largest companies in Jamaica, including the Bank of Jamaica, JN Bank, JDF Cooperative Credit Union, and Educom Cooperative Credit Union. We will be happy to train your staff and have them giving quality performance every time. In short, they will become experts at what they are doing. We may be contacted at 876-330-1902. That's 876-330-1902. Or email barrygwilliams@gmail.com. That is barrygwilliams@gmail.com. Send your staff to us. We'll have them performing in a quality manner, and they will become experts at what they do. Thank you very much.
Do you believe you're wearing the correct size bra? Whether it's a work day, a special occasion, or strapless bra, the fit specialists at La Belle Femme Lingerie bet that you and the vast majority of women are not. This can affect both your comfort and appearance. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5 and see the difference for yourself, or call 876-622-6091 for more information.
When was the last time you carried out a check to see if they were working properly?
Well, Dr. Summer Heart good, but no smoke or drink, summer kidney and liver okay?
No, not those. I'm talking about the state of your pipes.
Oh, those. Well, it's a long time I haven't checked on them.
Remember, check for leaks, especially if there's a change in your consumption pattern. At least each week, turn off your pipes, then check if the meter is still registering. Don't ignore the state of your pipes. It could leave you in critical financial condition if you are hit with a large bill. That was a message from the NWC.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. 4.5 minutes to the end of the program. Trying to squeeze in a number of your calls before we go. Hopton, good evening. You're the first person online.
How are you doing, Tyrone?
How are you doing, sir, Hopton?
I just wanted to find out, you see, in your view, you feel that you share the optimism of the Prime Minister that people are going to be now, running down to go and get, the vaccine?
If I share his optimism?
Yeah, you share that optimism.
The Prime Minister is perhaps in possession of further and better particulars, more information.
We had heard 30%
more information than I am privy to. So perhaps that informs his optimism.
Yeah, we had heard 30 to 40%, so we wonder how much it is now, because you didn't mention a figure,
Mm-hmm.
Would it make a difference, though, Hopton, with what's happening across the globe? We've seen that the UK has gotten the vaccine and they opened schools today. We are seeing the rollout on that fast track in the United States, and they too seem, I use the word seem, to not have adverse reactions to the vaccine. So since we like to look to the north and we like to look to the UK for examples, that our population, seeing that there are no adverse effects, will be more encouraged to join the vaccine line, because it seems that we get back to what appears to be normal much quicker.
Yeah, I personally would like to encourage persons to go and take the vaccine. We are a vaccine country. I mean, I remember taking vaccine as a child for measles and other things, and I've enjoyed a healthy life. So I'm going to be saying to the anti-vax person to stop their criticism and get on with it, and let us try and get ourselves vaccinated.
Indeed.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Sir Hope, and appreciate the call. Well, that's all we have time for. We can't squeeze in another one. We have to leave it there. But we really want to get the vaccination show on the road.
You taking it?
I will. What about you?
I'm more inclined to know. Now that I've had a few questions and I've gotten some answers to them, so I'm more inclined to join the line for it.
Indeed.
And you have to remember, I think, to be fair, we have to be responsible for each other. And when you look at the research coming out today about the impact of the vaccine, you recognize that the new mask mandates, the new mandates coming up because persons have vaccine, creates a better opportunity for persons to survive.
And about 2 or so weeks ago, the UK Prime Minister at a media conference announced some very great information, I think it was, for the people of England and, of course, the world, that since they started their vaccination campaign, deaths and the infection rate had been cut by about 75%, I think is what he said. That is very encouraging. I've heard enough about the science behind the vaccine to go with it. And the other point is, and Hopeton kind of touch on it, is that we have a very robust vaccination culture in this country.
Yeah, but you see, when people say that, we forget to consider that was because that was the word you said, culture. This is a new vaccine that has taken some time for us to appreciate that it came about so quickly. Measles, mumps, all the other vaccines took some time, and some of us grew up, we never had a choice. You got it when you went to primary school. This one, you saw it in the making, and so you're going to have questions about whether or not...
And the context and how the science has answered that is that it's this one, the platform started to be worked on prior to the novel coronavirus, and not just when the novel coronavirus outbreak began. So it was years in the making, basically.
And they've built upon the experience that they've had from doing other vaccines.
Right. Because there was a SARS
it is safe.
outbreak as well. That's a coronavirus. I mean, the scientific community had been working on it prior to now.
Well, look, we take a gamble every day, and the reality is you want to get back to normal as quickly as possible, and we are grateful that it is here. But guess what? We have to leave the program right there. That's it for this evening. Thank you so much for making it Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide at 5.
We want to thank our producers, Michelle McCree-Smith, Anthony Dennis, our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson, all the members of the news team. All our callers, well, our one caller today, all our contributors. This has been Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed.
And I'm Daniel Archer.
Good evening.
Keep safe.
When was the last time you carried out a check to see if they were working properly?
Well, doctor say my heart good, but no smoke or drink, so my kidney and liver okay.
No, not those. I'm talking about the state of your pipes.
Oh, those. Well, it's a long time I haven't checked on them.
Remember, check for leaks, especially if there's a change in your consumption pattern. At least each week, turn off your pipes, then check if the meter is still registering. Don't ignore the state of your pipes. It could leave you in critical financial condition if you are hit with a large bill. That was a message from the NWC.
Wouldn't you just love having more money in your pocket each month? Take home all your expensive loans to Educom Credit Union and let us ease the burden of high monthly loan payments. Consolidate now and let Educom Credit Union put more money in your pocket. Fast approval, no waiting period. What are you waiting for? Hurry down to Educom now or call 926-6973 for more info. Conditions apply. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service, integrity, innovation, and commitment.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy. Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
Experience the convenience of the Smart 15. File and pay your final income tax return for 2020 and estimated return for 2021. All returns should be filed online and on time. There are so many ways to pay. JamaicaTax.gov.jm, direct funds transfer, or NCB online banking. Persons needing assistance can view the information hub available online at JamaicaTax.gov.jm or call our customer care center 888-TAX-HELP. That's 888-829-4357. Tax Administration Jamaica, changing the way we do business.
It's the new year, and JetCon is offering more massive discounts on your favorite cars. They have cars starting as low as $859,000. That's right, $859. Start the new year off right by driving away in your very own car. Treat yourself. Call or WhatsApp 876-920-2277. Visit their website at jetconcars.com or check out any of their social media pages at JetCon Cars. JetCon, #1 in cars.
In keeping with Government of Jamaica COVID-19 protocols, Spectrum Insurance Brokers Limited wishes to advise the public that the new opening hours are Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We thank you for your understanding and apologize for any inconvenience caused as we continue to protect you, our valued clients. Call 876-926-3572 Kingston or 876-625-6804 Mandeville. Spectrum Insurance Brokers Limited, setting the industry standards.
If me a sleep, a nationwide. If me a walk, a nationwide. If me a drive, a nationwide. Nah, go over there. Why? Because she nah listen nationwide. A nationwide, me say.
Some cry, some smile, some fight every day. We rise to the top, 'cause we know what it takes. Do it all.
We have here with me the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Holness, who's joined us here. You're one of the representatives of many of the smaller nations here. This concept of BRICS Plus, expanding the membership to smaller nations, what do you think of it?
I think it's very important for small nations to be associated, sit global forum. It gives us an opportunity to bring our particular issues to the appreciation and understanding of bigger nations who are sympathetic to our situation. Small island countries have particular vulnerabilities. There are climate change issues. You know, one weather event could wipe out the economy of a small island state. There are issues to do with global compliance, that the changes in international rules could negatively impact the industries and economies of small island developing states. And there's not always a caring, hearing voice.
Begin this evening with a primetime news exclusive. A former gangster from crime-plagued Rockfort is speaking out about the ongoing violence in the area.
His name is Killer. As TVJ's Kirk Wright reports, he provided some insight into what's causing the violence and why he believes it's far from over.
Now, for months, TVJ has been reporting on several crimes, murders, shootings in the Rockfort area, and the list goes on. We wanted to find out what's really happening there, what's really causing the violence. We journeyed to the community today and we spoke to a man they call Killer. Here's that story. Killer is from a section of the Rockfort community called Rennock Lodge. He took us to an area in the community near the Rockfort Football Club for the interview. We wanted to know how he got the name Killer.
I tell you straight over here. So we don't like people molest old people, you know. We don't like child molester, you know. We don't like petty thief, you know. So if you have them man type of man there for deal it, where do it and no want to stop do it, just send them to it.
The area, which has been rocked by violence for months, is calm now but tense. Without saying how, Killer told us it's because of him why the community is now experiencing relative calm.
You think of my decision for do this? Now look on as a decision from heaven, because I know my style is.
He says the war is internal, and that part of it's fighting for turf. Men fighting to control the work that is expected to start to construct a mini stadium.
The truth them are done and them can't read. Them can't be if you know say, yo, this a bill and them not have control of it.
According to him, another reason is simply men taking money from politicians to run the place how they want it. There's also some extortion in the community.
You know, be poor people that make start. Look how we were there. Not now we not collect no money, no blood, no big man of foreign now giving up. Now we not collect no extortion money.
Killer did not want to show his face, but he admits he was once a gangster.
We never kill a man in my community yet. Never. I swear.
What about outside the community though?
Well, no.
Now he says he helps to protect the community. What would that mean for you being a gangster?
You know, me there. Cool, I live. I'm a little piece of little evil brother. I pick it up and I say them want to kill him. Me not go see them and make a man killed by a brother. So I pick it up now.
Killer did not define what that meant, but we pressed to understand his role in the ongoing gang war in Rockfort. Killer says there are lots of dons in the community, some in police lockups while some remain in the community. Killer says he took it onto himself to calm the community, but he warned Jamaicans not to be fooled by that serenity.
So it's the thing, come at any time. Because the temperature not like the war done. The temperature of the war, just, as me I tell you, say, I get a decision, I have option, and I take the best option. Control the war and turn down the temperature.
He says because of the stance he took to quell the violence in the community, those who oppose his move shot at him and expected him to retaliate in his usual style.
Hey, that I treat everyone. More time I'm ignorant in my heart and I want to take it to them in the street. You know? But when I look on the innocent, I don't like casualty. So, yes, I don't like you say two people up there, so whenever I involve, get shot. That save them.
This webinar is being brought to you by JAMPRO in collaboration with the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth Project, which is a joint initiative of the Government of Jamaica and the World Bank. Under the program, JAMPRO commissioned Coopers to undertake a limestone value chain analysis and to package 7 investment opportunities, which will be presented in today's webinar. Before I introduce the presenters, let me draw your attention to the ground rules for this webinar. The webinar is being recorded. All audio have been turned off for participants. If you have questions, please type them in the question box below, and your questions will be answered in the Q&A session, which will follow the 3 main presentations. We will also be able to answer your questions in the box, as well as live by the panelists. No verbal questions can be allowed at this time. All presenters are Ms. Dan Edwards, President of JAMPRO, Ms. Fiona Hyman, partner, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Mr. Norman Nair, Vice President, Sales and Promotions at Jampro. In our question and answer session, we'll be joined by Dr. Oral Rainford, Principal Director from the Ministry of Transport and Mining, and Mr. Roy Nicholson, Commissioner of Mines at the Mines and Geology Division. To start us off and to set the stage, I now invite President of Jampro, Dan Edwards, to make her presentation. Dan.
Thanks so much, Berletta, and good morning, everyone. This is really a very interesting morning where I'm going to talk a little bit about investing in Jamaica's limestone sector. Limestone, we believe, is a really sleeping giant in Jamaica, and one of the reasons we call this little island of ours Jamrock. So I wanted to say, first of all, thanks to the World Bank and the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth Project for sponsoring and helping us to host this whole event this morning, as well as the Planning Institute of Jamaica, which has played a really seminal role in developing our thinking and our technical approach to this sector. Obviously, we have to thank PwC, who have actually done the work of limestone value added sector profiles, which you'll hear about later, and want to thank Dr. Oral Rainford, the Commissioner of Mines, Mr. Nicholson, for joining us this morning and consenting to be on our panel. I know this is their subject matter of expertise, but for us, it's an exciting investment opportunity. So you probably all know that Jamaica is famous as an exporter of bauxite, but actually there's more limestone than bauxite. Our limestone resource is estimated to be 150 billion tons, of which 50 billion at least is recoverable. So we really have a sleeping export opportunity here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about quick facts about Jamaica, which will be a recall for Jamaican listeners, but will be of interest to our non-Jamaican listeners because you don't necessarily hear about these quick facts. So some of the quick facts that we want to show you is obviously we have a very open and liberal economy in Jamaica with an open investment regime and very transparent investment regime. We're actually now working on the national investment policy. But what this means is that your investment in Jamaica is protected by private ownership of land, and foreigners can own land in Jamaica. And that's important because while we Jamaicans take that for granted, that's not true in every country. We have a stable and supportive democratic government. We've never had a coup d'etat in Jamaica. We've always changed government democratically through voting, and we do vote a lot in Jamaica. We're passionate about our democracy. We have an educated and trained workforce of 1.3 million people, and the largest English-speaking country in the Caribbean, and as we like to say, the third largest English in the hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere. We have a really, actually quite a modern economy in Jamaica with a robust telecommunications infrastructure that allows us broadcasting to you today, essentially. Road infrastructure across the island, a lot of investment has gone into that in recent years, so that's now really robust and really crosses the island and allows you to put your limestone on trucks and trucks to the island. We've had 20 quarters of consecutive GDP growth, and that's really important because that was pre-COVID a really strong and robust performance. Also a reduced debt to GDP ratio. We've seen also foreign direct investment in Jamaica, which has averaged somewhere between 600 and 700 million US a year. The stock of foreign direct investment was estimated at over 17.2 billion US dollars. And I think that for a small country is actually a very powerful performance. In terms of foreign exchange controls, we don't have any. We have a floating exchange rate. The Jamaican dollar floats and is quite has been doing quite well within a range over the past period, and I'm talking pre-COVID here. Zero restrictions on foreign ownership of companies and of land, as I said, and no restriction on repatriation of profit. So you're talking about a very open, liberal, and welcoming investment environment. And we've been seeing growing recognition of that investment environment. Recently, the Doing Business report, we moved up 4 spots to number 71 out of 190 countries. And this is the World Bank's Doing Business report of 2020. So talking a little bit more about things that would be important to you in the limestone business, strong air connectivity. Actually, Jamaica, if you look at where we are located, and location is one of our most powerful advantages, we are located within a 4-hour flight radius of over 500 million of the world's population. And this chart shows you the concentric circles that look at where you can reach from Jamaica. And we used to have 400 international flights a week going out of Jamaica, obviously not during the COVID period, but we will slowly ramp back up to that level. It is expected. We have reopened our international airports, so we are slowly reopening the economy for business. And then, of course, of import to you is a strong sea connectivity. And the next slide looks at the sea connectivity, with Jamaica having the #1 transshipment port in the region, which is the port of Kingston, which is a containerized port, but we also have bulk cargo going from the port of Kingston. We are home to the 7th largest natural harbor in the world, which is Kingston Harbor, and we have a number of commercial ports around the country, which from which you can export commodities such as Port Esquivel, Reynolds Pier in the north, Port Kaiser in the south, and Port Esquivel in the south. So the opportunity to truck your product from your quarry to a port is makes it really easy to export from Jamaica. And so why should you put your limestone opportunity, your limestone manufacturing and processing opportunity in Jamaica? Because actually, as I said, we have those fantastic limestone deposits. And what is most important about that is that this is high grade. I know high grade is often used to refer to another product. But in terms of limestone, what it means is that we have 95 to 98% pure calcium carbonate for processing. And really, I want to stress the question of processing, because what we're about here is not so much export of aggregate, which we have been doing, but we really want to look at how we can improve our value-added processing of this great mineral that we are blessed with. So we actually, one of the big opportunities for you to process your limestone would be in the special economic zone, you duty-free import and export and a lower corporate income tax rate, or using a manufacturing incentive, which allows you, again, duty-free import of capital equipment and raw materials, according to a productive input relief list. The minerals industry policy, which is now being promulgated, will also offer you tax incentives for mining, because mining is excluded from the special economic zone. So just as a snapshot of Jamaica's limestone industry, you can see there are 2 charts which show you the trajectory of the limestone exports from Jamaica over the last, what is it now, 9 years really. So we've seen a curve that is undulating, and we've seen some height in 2017, and then somewhat of a decline. However, we're not anywhere near the potential that we could reach in this industry. So now I just want to say a few more words before I wrap up about the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project, under which our limestone research and development of these case studies, of these investment profiles has been done. So this FCGP, as we call it, is a joint initiative between the World Bank, and this aims to really strengthen the business environment. There's one whole component of it which is a business environment reform agenda, which is led by JAMPRO and is really improving the ease of doing business in Jamaica. The objectives of this program are to provide technical assistance, to facilitate strategic private investments that will change the picture in Jamaica, to support small and medium-sized enterprises, and provide project implementation and monitoring and evaluation. So what we've done with the Limestone Value Chain project, and you'll see from this slide that there are the highlights on some of the activities and outputs of this whole program. So really what we wanted to do is to look at the current state of Jamaica's limestone industry, to look at what we need to do to develop the value added aspect of it. So to look at the potential markets and the opportunity, and to look at how do we package the opportunity for to attract new investment into the sector. So that's why we have developed the profiles that we have developed. And these were some of the outputs of the project, to look at a SWOT analysis of what were the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities for Jamaica's competitive position, really, to define that very clearly, to identify the value-added products that were of greatest promise, and to look at the development of these investment packages, which Fiona Hyman will reveal to you very shortly. So I just want to say in closing that we at JAMPRO are very much on hand to help you to realize your business opportunity. There are on the screen now a list of the contacts and the means of contacting JAMPRO. So you can contact JAMPRO through any phone, to online, chat, to fax, to everything. And Barletta Henland Forrester, who is our chair this morning, is the one who is managing the limestone the limestone sector, and will be happy to shepherd and to assist and guide your investment inquiries and help you to realize your project. So thank you for listening, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the rest of the presentations this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, for setting the context and for answering the question, why Jamaica? As we are joined by other participants, we invite you to post your questions in the chat, and we will answer as many of them as we can live in the Q&A session, and we will continue to answer even beyond the session. I now invite Fiona Hyman, PricewaterhouseCoopers, to present to us on the findings, the main findings of the value chain analysis on limestone, and more importantly, to speak in some details to the 7 investment opportunity packages that have emerged. Over to you, Fiona.
Thank you, Barletta. Good morning, all. It is a pleasure to be here to present to you the results of PwC's study done on the limestone industry in Jamaica, and in particular, the potential value-added products that we have identified. PwC has been working with JAMPRO and the Minings and Geology Division for the past year to look at Jamaica's limestone industry as is, to benchmark it against global producers and other export countries, and to look at the potential to grow our exports and to identify additional products. So throughout this session, I'm going to walk you through some key global trends and the projects that we have identified. So the global trends for limestone include the key global trade flow for limestone is generated in Asia, with the major exporters being the United Arab Emirates, India, and Vietnam. At present, the global market for limestone is about $1 billion, and the Americas at this stage contributes only 3% of that. And when I'm speaking of that, I'm just speaking about the raw aggregates. Go to the value-added products in the Americas. that market is close to about $12.5 billion. And that is expected to increase by about 2% each year up to 2024. The major users of the value-added limestone are the construction industry, the industrial companies such as for chemicals, for food production, agriculture, and also in other uses such as bauxite, etc. The state of Jamaica's limestone industry today. As President mentioned, Jamaica's exports of limestone products have been growing. But right now, Jamaica produces about 3.4 million tons of limestone. Of that amount, only 179,000 tons is exported. So there is huge potential to grow. What is exported at the moment represents the low value-added products, primarily aggregates and marl. From that, we only earn about $4 million US. And as I'll go through further, the market for value-added products in the Americas alone is over 400 million US. Scope for Jamaica to grow. At present, we have about 150 operators. Of that amount, around 15 account for about 93% of the total production, and about 3 or 4 operators are currently exporting. What would set Jamaica apart? What are our competitive advantages? To all, because President has ably mentioned quite a lot of them. One of the key things is that we have a large reserve of limestone, and the quality is very high. So our limestone has a purity grade of about 97%, and that enables it to be transformed into many products. We have a large base, large customer base for our products. The total end user market is about 12 billion US. Where we're located, we're centrally located. We're right in the middle of North and South America. So we're centrally located, and as was mentioned earlier, a lot of the trade takes place from Asia, so that's quite a far place for many of these products to travel. President mentioned as well some of the other enabling factors in terms of the special economic zones. While mining at the moment, the actual extraction would not qualify for the special economic zone, the manufacturing aspect of it, which would be the value added, would enable investors to benefit from the benefits of the special economic zone. So in terms of the value-added products that we have identified, we would have done through our work on this project, we would have been engaged with JAMPRO, the Mining and Geologies Division, as well as other stakeholders. These stakeholders primarily include the existing operators, and as part of our work, we would have conducted site visits for over 15 sites. We would have administered surveys where we heard from at least 25% of the operators. In doing the work that we did, we looked at both large and small operators. Through that, we would have selected 7 products, which were packaging in 5 packages. And these include traditional value-added limestone products, as well as emerging limestone products. The traditional limestone products include ground calcium carbonate, which is used in a variety of industries, including agriculture, animal feed, paper, plastics, paints, and food and household products. Additional product that we would have focused on would be precipitated calcium carbonate. Similar to ground calcium carbonate, it is also used in a wide variety of industries. But based on the specifications and the various products that you're able to get from this, it's also used for daily products such as toothpaste and other food items. The other package that we're looking at as an additional traditional product are the limes. And we have prepared a super lime package because the production process for most of these lime products are relatively similar. And these can be used in a variety of industries, including construction and building, food processing again, paper and pulp, agriculture. The dimension stone is another product that we are going to focus on. This includes building uses for building and construction, decoration and tiles. And the emerging product that's on the that we have included as well is cultured marble, which is weather resistant, and it's used primarily in the construction industry. In terms of the market for these products, as I've mentioned earlier, the value-added products have a wide market. We are focused primarily on the Americas market. So even so, if I were to just step back, if we look at the major importing markets for limestone and we exclude all the ceramic products, we're looking at close to 400 million worth of limestone value-added products that are imported into the Americas. Our current export is about 4 million. So we are basically not scratching the surface of this market. On the next slide, what we've done is to go further and to do a breakdown of all the major importing countries in the Americas, including USA, Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, and the CARICOM, to see what is the value of the imports from these products that we have identified. So one of the products that we've identified is GCC and PCC. As you can see, the total market for that is 62 million US. Right now, Jamaica is only earning about 43,000 US from our exports. So there is a huge opportunity for us to exploit. In terms of the process that we would have, so bringing that all together, what we would have done is and we have done a feasibility study where we consider the market demand. We've also considered the existing needs and the capacities of the current operators in the local market. And in developing the feasibility study, we would have done a top-down approach. And we would have considered two main methods for this approach. One is an incremental approach where if we look at the resources of the existing and they add this on as a part of their existing operations, or two, it's done on a standalone approach where they're started from scratch. So that is the methodology that we would have used. And I'm also from a global firm, so we have to have our caveats. So we would have done this. This is a top-down analysis. We would have conducted research, and these are estimates. So, of course, what we're projecting may be different, but we think we would have done sufficient work to be very confident in what we're presenting. The first product that I will speak about is ground calcium carbonate. Ground calcium carbonate is one of the traditional value-added products. It's fine in texture and it's used primarily in the agricultural sector, animals, pets, paper, plastic, etc. As we've noted before, the overall market for this in this region that we've studied is about 62 million. Doing our analysis, we would have looked at what percentage of the market we think we can capture. In our analysis, we would have made quite conservative assessments where we're only projecting sales of about 2 million per year. In terms of the capital costs, we would have looked at it, as mentioned earlier, on an incremental or a standalone basis. And we are assuming that the plant size that we're looking at 1,000 tons, Why 30,000 tons per annum? We would have done an analysis of the existing operators and what their capabilities are. And in order not to exclude them from the market, we would have started at that low level. Of course, depending on market demand, people are always free to have a larger size plant. Based on this, we estimate that the payback period for this product than 2 years. And we're expecting, we've done our investment appraisal techniques and analysis, and this is looking at the project over a 25-year time horizon. And based on that, we're expecting on a standalone basis for this product to generate an internal rate of return of, which is basically a return on your investment of about 33%, and on an incremental basis, 50%. The other product that we would have looked at as well is precipitated calcium carbonate, or PCC. PCC is similar to ground calcium carbonate, except that it is a synthetic process. So when you're preparing GCC, the chemical change, but with PCC, it does. In terms of imports and exports, those two products have the same harmonized code, but the main difference is that PCC gives you greater control over the product, so it commands a higher price, and you are able, and the production process leads to a better quality of products. Similar to GCC, the market for this is close to 62 million US. And in this case, for our projections, we would have used, again, conservative sale numbers of about 2 million per year. Similar to the development of GCC, we would have looked at the capital cost on both a standalone and incremental basis. And of the changes in the production process, it's a little bit more costly. So the payback period for this and the profit margins for this product is slightly lower than GCC. And at a typical investment could be recovered over between 2 to 3 years. The expected return on this product is close to 25% to 32% over a 25 years on. The other products that we would have looked at would be the super lime package. And this considers 3 types of lime products: quick lime, slaked lime, and hydraulic lime. Quick lime and slaked lime so as mentioned earlier, we have grouped the lime products together because they have a similar production process, and they can be used together to get economies of scale. Quick lime and slaked lime would be profitable on their own, but based on the limited demand for hydraulic lime, we think that this could be incorporated as part of our overall lime plant. The main uses of quick lime and slaked lime are iron and steel, food industry, paper and pulp, used in buildings and construction. Hydraulic lime, while it is used in the construction industry, tends to be used mainly for statues and mortars, etc. And I think that will explain the limited demand. So again, so if we look at the total markets for these products, the total value for these of this market is close to 200 million US. For our total sales, we have estimated close to 3 million per annum, and the construction costs, similar concepts that we would have used in terms of looking at incremental land costs, equipment, power to set up, etc. and of course having a contingency cost. We estimate that the payback period for these products will be between 2 to 3 years, with an expected internal rate of return of between 24% and 34%, depending on whether it's on a standalone or incremental basis. The other product that we would have looked at is the
playing as a facilitator. So we provide a lot of information and guidance on government requirements and procedures for both imports and exports. So specifically, we assist in the completion of documentation and submission of documentation to facilitate the various permits and waivers, etc., that's required by government. Central role in providing that kind of support of investors. Those submissions, we are then working with a number of the government agencies, ministries, department agencies, etc., to mobilize their support in facilitating the approval process. So having made a submission, we facilitate the approval process by working through a relationship with these various agencies.
Right now, let's put on some tea, you know, some coffee and everything there. See? Come in, Principal.
Yes. Right now I say greeting, my people. Now wake up. Wake up, my people. Take off something and wave it. If you're not on a flag, wave your cap. Wave your cap. Dance start. Wave. Wave something, make we see it. You know. Come and say, dolong, balong, bong, pararang, bang, rung, bang, river, day. Wave. Wave, man. Wave something, make we see it. And nice it up. If you don't have no flag, just wave your blouse or your cap, anything, see it. You look upon them and tell them, say, and keep it down low. You know, so when Chaplin and Josie and Briggy come, is worries. A long time me they are stand and listen. How are you them? A DJ where we bring. And we just hide around the side of Biggie and Mighty Mike. But you don't feel say we're not there, but we're there. So here we look down and tell you now. Hear me now. Me say me there from night. Me and my friend them a hide from the light. I drink baba roots and a lick ganja pipe. Say Babylon a try trick me with them psych. I talk about people council and human. Hold on. Sure. Come here, Colonel. Come in, Colonel. Come in, man.
Rastafari. Play below. Ever love it, say go on. Selassie. Listen this one. Babylon, your bongo cat. Kiss me plate clot. How the cap fit at them me attack. Your bongo cat. Kiss me plate clot. Anyone the cap fit at them me attack. A one bag of them jump down pan sizzler. Through the youth a preach up him roots and culture. Charge him for gun, herb that is ganja. I said the youth too out a harder. Me tell them, how them not tell you how carnival slack. When a naked man a wind up on another one back. Bout war donkey, half idiot. Give me pass, make we bust two shot. Your bongo cat, kiss. Everybody love it, say go on. We love, I listen, lift up. You don't know when Charlie Briggy and Joseph forward. When I come talk about the gimmicks, I hear Ninja Man confess him kill 100 man. Well, if you kill 100 more than 2.6 million people, we don't have nobody at Jamaica. Please, Ninja Man, don't kill anyone else. Come in, Principal.
Jano, man. A strictly niceness. Run the same rhythm road, boy. Because we want the people them know say this can't done till morning. 8 o'clock before we done this. Sun have to come up. And you don't know, say a stir off and a worries and problem. Take it on low. Now you see me people. Me a the bad dready. From me little bit, me no play with no teddy. Give me the girl them fat or maga like Treddy. Elephant a talk about weddy. While him a weddy, me and the girl in a beddy. I play with dready and I rub down leggy. Hold up. If you don't want lyrics, say go on, spend. Colonel, come here. I hear them a talk about some dancing, some tatty and them things, man. We have to work for them people, you know.
Lift up. Selassie, I know, brethren. I'm going to tell you. I'm on a mission, saying I'm here run a marathon and believe I'm a host. I'm going to feel vexed if I never forward. Selassie, I know. Sing this one called The New Dance. Run it. Come and say all the dancers, I'm make a peer man a dance with man like a singing group, but I said I make the dancer, man a dance with the man. So I want if a peer cowboy we are playing when I play in the Dolly House. Selassie, run it. If you love it, say go on. Selassie. Lord of mercy. Selassie, I say, I want new dance. Josie bring again this dance and we make young bosses game. Bad boy is we name and we title. Put down we rifle and pick up we Bible now. Lord, I'm on here beanie man. I talk about Tatty. Tatty up in Miss Berry and also Miss Matty. We a bad boy, we don't dance Tatty. Cause anytime you Tatty your next man you watch your body. And any man we watch for we battle we have a shotty. We only rub fence with Sonia and Jatty. We love. Everyone love it, say rough. Come in, principal.
Boy, me ask you the truth. No dance, no tatty for true, man. What you hear me I tell you, say? I hear elephant talk about Pan River and Pan Bank. Take it down low. You know from when Charlie Chaplin, them amongst all of them people, yeah, because I see you no come out to listen with. And we never tell you no to go dance a sea in a river or a canal, because me no know if you no can swim. And me no want no drop and nothing to no. So here me I tell elephant man. Say Chaplin see enough dance before, but me never see none fool like this. Chaplin see enough dance before, but pan the river dance a band foolinish. Hear me tell them, pan the river, pan the bank, water cloud to no drop in a swamp. And you know them ya alligator and ram them just crap on. Hold on!
Everyone love it, Sarah. 27 years. 27 years. Lift up. We have Ninja Man, we have Beanie Man, we have named them after 27 years. Elephant Man, all kind of animal. Charlie and Josie, original. If you love original, say, go on. Run it. Run it. This one name, we want people to live. This one name, we want people to live. Don't pressure the original voice, you keep it low. This one name, we want people to live now. We don't want nobody for dead now, Lord. We want people to live now. We don't want nobody for dead. Some say them a bad man, we know them a sad man. At night them a rat man, them for read Revelation. We want people to live now. We don't want nobody for dead. Run go tell Michael, look down him cute and him handsome, but don't go to win some unless him have condom. Them never make condom to fit on your long tongue. Oh, you go bow down and you know say that wrong now. We sing, we want people to live now. We don't want nobody for dead, Lord. We want people to live now. We don't want nobody for dead.
Well, lift up and come again, man, because you know, see a strictly niceness. And right now, we have to settle down and fix it up back. Remember one time where them used to disrespect Rasta, man? I mean, why you feel say you have to have locks on your head to be Rasta, man? Because I know people are Rasta in our heart, because sometimes we not live clean and that. See? But you look on them and tell them no. You remember when them used to say Rasta black heart? Them the time Rasta man used to show bank yard. Now what F-150 and Benz we a park? We 3-story house with Doberman and dog a bark. When Babylon see that all them out jump frat. Then red...
Rastafari. I don't want the principal let out the door, man. Say, go on. Come in, principal. I listen last year.
Well, I'm sorry, my brother host tonight, you know, man. See, me I tell you the truth. Josie me here sizzler something where I say, and some big long gun him a run out from them. But sizzler, when you do them things that you know for make them know where you talk, man. You just use code. You know why them band that tune there, Josie? And sizzler just use some code then can't buy. Hear him should I say? And some big Doberman me let out pan them. A pay mongrel me run out pan them. A pay rat white.
Yo, every time we go out, and I want to talk to Ninja Man and I want to talk to Sizzler, stop confessing. Don't not volunteer information. A real bad guy does not hide all his guns in one area. We were having guns from the 70s, and we have never been caught. If I love Rastafari, I say, go on. I listen last year, I run it. Run it. Commissioner of Police, Superintendent, know that. And them know some we done while. I listen last year, I know. Charlie, chop some Spanish for them Rasta.
Well, right now, me and Josie I got touch down little Spanish, because we hear Peter Metro I touch little. But you see when time me I touch it, me touch the proper Spanish, and Josie I got give you the broken Spanish. Ba la 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 bamba. Ba la 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 bamba. Pedese siko wana pocha de gracia. Una ma pocha de gracia. Baria sika. Baria bari. Baria baria. Corcusete. Her capitan. Da wanyanyam la la bamba. La no sing yet, man. Hear the real thing, you know. Come here, sir. Give them people you some broken Spanish.
Ease up. Put them, take it low, take it low. Let's play it low. Let's play it low. At the end. La la bamba. Never ever left a bushmaster. If Babylon fast, we faster. Oh, police we run down and catch rats down. La la. Buenos dias, senorita. Agua caliente, cuantro eso poquito. Bego no look for the promoter. Tell him to bring with dinero, or we will drop pistolero. We love. Everybody love it, say go on. Selassie. Selassie, anybody who's here will come up right now, you know, for worry. Take it low. Easy. All of my DJ Virgin them, I want them way alive, I'm proud of them. I want to give respect to Bob Marley and his relatives and all his family. I want to give respect to Peter Tosh family, Garnet Silk family, Dennis Brown family. And I want to give respect to Bogle and his family. And I want to give respect to all of my brethren them who are alive to stay alive. It's not easy to stay alive from that time until this time. Sometimes we see some of the entertainers them who just start work last year and them favor whole kitchen down a Salt Lane. And we there same way that me give thanks to God and for the love life. Don't put no Escalade in front of the life. Sometimes when I see some boy walk and I drive some nice pretty car, them boyfriend get them. So give thanks to life and for the love life. Say go on. Dedicated to all of my brethren, then play me low. John our host, but no for the year ninja already, man. Be yourself, you make so much trouble. Selassie, Rastafari. People, a time for face reality. Because the lyrics don't call for gimmicks anymore. They call for reality. Hear this one. In them, we don't want no passport, we don't want no visa. We end up in a shut-eye country. Josie don't want no passport, we don't want no visa. We end up in a shut-eye country. The first man me buck up on a Bob Marley. And this is what the reggae king says to me. He said, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. The second man me buck up on a Jacob Miller. Him say you're dead, yeah, Him say dreadlocks can't live in a tenement yard. Dreadlocks can't live in a tenement yard. Too much watch it in a tenement yard. The next man me buck up on a Peter Touch. From the inns and the valley not to dreadlocks. Him say legalize it, yeah. And I will advertise it, Lord. But as me reach at the gate, me see a posse a come in. Bogle, Willie, Agat, and a dancing team. I hail me from afar, say Jose will come in. Me say, no, my brethren, a dream, me a dream. Him say, a lie, oh, so badly. All them there, where them they did there. Elephant, Ninja Man, Charlie, Jose, they long time Rastafari. Everybody love it, say, go on. Come in, principal.
Why I don't know what we are going to do with this youth, yeah, man. But Colonel, terrible. But Josie, me I deal with the live man then when I behave themselves like Gregory Isaac. So him say, boy, you a save me, if I never you him knock me out. Low. But me I go ride, me I go drive, me I go walk out the whole of Jamaica. Say me I go reason with the entertainer. Hear me now. Me say the first one, me say that a Gregory Isaac. He hung up in a Dennis Brown car back. With him coke pipe and a lick one rock. Me say, hey Gregory Isaac, how you lick so much rock? See me? Me say give more than getting. It's a give more than one. Hold up! Jesus Christ.
Hey, people, I love the item, the feel away. I man tell the promoter, say, Bridget, I gotta stay home because I owe so this long time. I don't see the people, but I can't see it. And the people them say, oh, the promoter say, oh, you must mad Colonel, they don't even have a kidnap you. And I wouldn't really want to be kidnapped. It's so funny. The other day I was talking to Beanie Man, I said to him, say, Brethren, the people in Jamaica love you. And a little thing go on, the other day I start hide. Then suppose you were living like me, like many times the police has come to my door and say, you are wanted. And I say, hey, shit, if I'm wanted, take me there. Hey, what can I say? So even the superintendent, the commissioner in Jamaica, if you understand, say musician, live them real life, love them real life. I will love you, I will love the people, and we're proud of our nationality. And we're proud of Jamaica. If I love it, say, go on. Rastafari, run it, selector, Sturgav. I want to play one song for all of the Sturgav fan them. Big up Daddy Ura, the original. I want to big up the man called Mighty Mike. And I want big up the man called Big Hair. And I want big up all of the celebrities and all the sentence people. We're proud of their life. But the fun of the body, you know, you have some girl have some pretty clothes. Who leave? And I hang them up and nail them down the wardrobe. Selassie, everybody love it, say go on. This one dedicated to all Sturgav fans. You understand? Because you know when the dance with the wedding. Original. Go on.
I will never let you go. I will never let you go.
We love Selassie for the love and Sturgav fans. Say go on. After 27 years, you rhyme in the baddest sound of the world that ride us all tight. And all original people. And the people that were 15 and 16 and never hear Sturgav. Sturgav this. Go on.
I will never let you go. I will never let you go. I will never, I've got to hold on every day, in every way. But the things you would say just couldn't be that way. You'll never ever reach if you don't try it. Instead you keep on telling on those dreadful lies just
Selassie people. Original music is so nice. Life bigger than everything in the whole wide world. Watch the body out, watch the life. You see this one? You see this one? Dedicated to all of my people. My brother, come up looking further. The people who want to see Selassie. Take it low. Keep it low. This one here. That's the way. I want to hear my people sing. That's the way. One more time for my sentence people. The way I like. And if you really love, just sing. The way I like it. You're the star. I like him round and I like him juicy. Yes, Sister Susie, I beg you seduce me. Shake that booty, let me pop that coochie. Josie and Charlie's a real rootsy. Never see we without a Chris Clark's booty. From a mother, we a Chris Rasta youthie. That's the way I like it. Lord, I said I need someone who can mash down the dancehall floor. I need someone. This is not Elephant or Beanie Man, this dance no more. Me say, me too big and heavy. Me can't weddy. Listen, Charlie Chaplin, my real natty dready. You never see this natty a blanze. Him no work a airport, so him no signal plane. If a whole time dancing, you just call with him. We love dress clean, so we can't chaka. We no walla, we no falla. Original dancehall Godfather. We love with veggie chunks. We can't summer bunks. We come a dancehall with up. Selassie, for the love it say go on. Come in, principal.
Why you're terrible. Oh, Colonel, I say the truth. Enough of them see I go on with all kind of thing. They make some money and them change. Them not even want people heal them again. When them see them fan, them show off on them. But you see Chaplin and Josie and Briggy, we can't change my people. So hear me tell them, say, no change at this here, me. So them can't hear me, them a try if they frame me. Everything where up my out the road, them a blame me. 1966, then send me a Cuba, go train me. Tell me if they come back and come kill and them pay me. Me tell them fancy lassie, I know guy can't stay me. People know how to hear me. And Perjo, hold up. Well, we don't have to tell you no what go on you know. Because we don't have sense. We don't have to tell you no what go on you know. Come General. And me and Josie just done warm up the floor. And you go come cut up some seasoning on it.
Yeah man, first I must say, greetings in the name of Most High God, Jah, Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. We must remember him make we don't make ourselves. And we are the sheep of his pastor. And so we are entering his gate with thanksgiving. And be thankful unto him, must bless his name. For the Lord is good. His mercy endureth forever. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. It's 2-2-twang. Jamaica, Jamaica. Even on star. Down in Jamaica, we get it. Who goes? Rasta this year, man. And every year Rasta. Lord of mercy. Jesus Christ. We're nice. After Briggy went to a dance in Brooklyn, me and me hygiene name Mr. Tibbs. Lord, as me reach at the dance gate, the gate man a bright up him ugly looking face. One thumping at the gate man mouth, 32 teeth, me say jump right out. The people them a laugh and a jump and a shout. Rabbit, bust up the gate and make the super come in. Bust up the gate and make the super come in. We used to give you dinner, oxtail and rice and peas. Monday morning that a bread and greens. You sleep on my bed and with me spread so clean. Now you day a dance, get your face bent up and lean. Yes, it was the Brooklyn people understand. That's where Briggy keep the Ram Jam session. Cock from left, hand to right. Nobody fuss, nobody fight, nobody move, nobody get hurt. With one new pants, new shoes, new shirt. Turn me loose, yeah now. Take the shackles from off my feet. I wanna run to the beat. Cause it's so long, since I have Jah by my side. And I really can't take the fighting and the war. Bang diddling 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 bang bang pain. Bang diddling 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 bang bang pain. Bang diddling 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 bang bang pain. Lord, cause if me fly upon a plane, they want me feel pain. Right on a train, they want me feel pain. I take it from Kingston, going on to Spain. Bad boy joke it down, no me them get the blame. Babylon come, they want to burst up me head. A whole dirty nigga want to see me drop dead. What a shame, what a shame. But I'm gonna look and say, Jaja, you half up on Briggy Garden Star. Jaja, please don't go away. Oh, Jaja, Jaja, you must be where you are to repatriation day. Oh, Jaja, hey, sometimes we go upside down, down or down. Oh, Jaja, turn me. Let it go, Mr. Look that three big money I've got now. What do you want to say, the outlaw?
Selassie, I bring a long time the people ever see you. Yeah, been a while, your locks have been going and mine have been shred. The youth them make a hustling by selling keys compound. Dreadlocks are jogging on them sweatsuit on. Bad boy and police, a fire peer shot. If me never skill me would have reached out cut. In a crisp boat box and looking glass on top. 9-nut screw, hold it down and down. Kingston hot. Lord, I gotta miss a Kingston hot. Lord, people, something up man, me mad for cry. When me tell you this, that's no lie. I wake up in the morning about 3:30. Get out me coffee, figure boil me tea. Bad boy come and bust up here, shut on for me. Kill me pink knee and me old granny. Kingston hot. Lord, I gotta miss a Kingston hot. Lord, if you are here, Charlie, make me hear ya. Come in, principal.
Yeah, man. But me say all who no like in farmer say shubo put no on. Hold on, hold it. Right now, I have to come and bring the message. You see reggae music are the heartbeat of the people. See, we are two of the greatest radio man down there. So a man called Mighty Mike and Big A, and we have Ran Mushet, and them man they push reggae radio and reggae music. But right now them a talk about say dance like off 2 o'clock, all kind of thing. And when carnival a keep a peer police in a uniform a protect that. And carnival come from outer port and them no protect the reggae music. So right now, I don't want to give up reggae, because reggae is our music, we build that. So we are going to send a message to the Prime Minister with all respect. Come with the same rhythm. Yeah, man. We just send a message to the Prime Minister so they will free up the dance them and tell the police to stop, lock them off. Because look how people them come together. Let me tell them, say take a message to PJ Low. Tell him to make the music play. My heart is for reggae, and it hurt me if you see it go astray. You can work me hard and not give me no pay. Make me walk from town to Mobile. But please don't stop the reggae music from play, cause it provide for singers and DJ. Even the higgler where you sell a gateway. Look how them big up the mentor. Look how them protect Calypso. People are wind down and touch toe, and all part of them belly are sure. That no good for the little children where you grow up, but them turn where them head like them no know. Oh, but the little reggae where you make it dollars a flow, I hit them one come lock out a door. Oh, but Master God now go make it go. Hold on! Habla! Our man is the general. Watch it.
Yeah, man, blessed love, man. This is the original article dancehall song. See? King Sturgeon. Big up your chest, you're right. Millions of dollars you spent on a song. Let me know that. Yes, Rastafari, God Almighty in person. And you run things. Papa Briggy are the roughest DJ that ever DJ Rastafari way. But I don't care and I don't mind what no dippy DJ want to do or say. Idiot, how will you a do? How will you a try it? And all the try you will try me say tonight, you're going to die for Rasta, don't tell lie. But all the try you will try me say tonight, you're going to die for dreadlocks, don't send some pie. It goes the boom boom bam bam bye in a dirty DJ head. Any guy will test this not teacher, them going to bam bam bye. Go in the DJ. Any guy will test this Rasta man, them going to dead. Come follow me. We going to take a idiot DJ from out in bed. Take him off and pillar. Take him off a spread and squeeze down the pillar on the idiot head and go. Pronounce that dead. Te-boom ba ba bye. Te-boom ba ba bye. And again. Ya. Bring it back around them. Ya. Bring it up around them. Jesus Christ. Listen, me good star. One general in the Lord. Oh, my mistake. I do it again. A two general in the Lord. A two general in the Lord. Two general in the Lord. We say a two general in the Lord. But Charlie Chaplin and the principal. And Joseph William and the colonel. And them say Billy and the admiral. And them say Stitchy and the governor. I Hurley be him and the doctor. A super cat him and the Indian. A ninja man a Dan Gorgon. And them say Shabba and the Rankin. And them say Butcher and the Banton. The false prophet that a Capleton. But Brigadier him and the General. The general want them, the general teach them, the general show them go on. General want them, general teach them, general show them go on. The general morning, the general night, and the general evening, and the light, and the general making the thing is alright, but the general feels so nice. Me are the general. No carbon copy. What do you want as a principal?
Yeah, the real general. One general, you know, man. No respect to General Tree, but you know, Brigadier the General. And no care when no DJ are going with how much number one and how much number 10 them have, how much woman and whatever. Charlie Chaplin and Brigadier, Josie Whale, stand, predominate. You hear me look at them and tell them, look. Enough guy want come test Papa Chap, but them a comic. Put we in a day dance with the mic and we ram it. No for them side Josie Whale and panic. Panic them a panic and them not drink no tonic. If a ganja play and show me the money while me land it. I cook you a sell move fire so me we vomit. Them say me a the baddest mother on the planet. You want hear more lyrics, just give me some chronic. Cause when me burn the chronic, say me move like bionic. Hold on! You don't think we easy talk to them, Colonel?
Yes, when you're stepping up in age, they say the older the wine it is more fermented. Therefore, if you was a girl who used to go dance hall and broke out when you was 16, when you're 35, you have to whine tenderly like you're whining on an egg. Selassie, I know. So you see how we are doing tender, and one day them to understand. If you love it, say go on. When you come up here to make nice and tell you say this and that, we can put some lyrics in your head. Hear this one. Hear this one. You have some woman. You have some man, all them a search. Them can't get a good man. And Selassie, I know I don't know. Sometimes you get the right woman with the wrong vagina and the right vagina with the wrong head. Rasta, if you will, please send a sexy girl for me to thrill. Don't send me one who take the chicken pill. Cause he might just get my willy kill. And then it can't stop. Everybody love it, say go on. Hear me now. At my age, at the level where we reach in our life, we don't compensate to tell people lie. We don't compensate for talk some things and you laugh. We compensate for you sit and think about it. Rastafari, for the love it, say go on. Selassie, be the man of the DJ. We tell the people in the most fantasy. Elephant Man dance the most. Vibes cartoon telling the most cartoon. Sing Rasta if you will. Please send a sexy girl for me to trill. Don't send me one that take the chicken pill. Cause you might have just get my willy kill. And then it can't stand still. Selassie, a nice one please. Who can cook my son the rice and peas? She will never give me bun or cheese, and she will be my main squeeze. Selassie, I want a humble little one who know how to take care of her man. And if she behave, I'll give her house and land. Married to her and bring her a wedding band. But any day I ever catch her talking to a man, it's gonna bring a bam bam. Lord, Rasta, although I beg, don't let me end up with a whole tegger egg. For all of the DJ friend them for jump between our leg and make love to her. And then Lord, I want a humble little one. We love. If I love it, say one. So let's say, hey, one more time. I tell you this. If Josh should let me choose, without any disrespect to the female DJs, I would have to say this. Pump it. So let's say, you're saying, take it down low. You got to take it down low. Selassie, I Rastafari, I know. Lord, me no want Maka Diamond, she a chat about money. And who come too quick and who done already. Me don't want Beyonce, she might tickle my fancy. Or Jennifer Lopez to come mash down my bed. Vex with lady saw, she too slack and raw. Every day me see she dress and show her too body jaw. Rasta if you will, please send a sexy girl from Wheel Up. A straight lyrics you get. Come here, principal.
Boy, Colonel. Me would have take Maka Diamond and that. Yeah, man. Touch it, make me just touch a little piece there and show Colonel what. Me would have take Maka Diamond, Colonel, man. You know, see, all ass like we. Yes, man. Colonel. Look, I would take Maka Diamond, although her false teeth is top and bottom, and her muscle them big and it look like the man. Say Chaplain, oh, that he'll take a slam. Will! General!
I'm telling this. Step forward, Rasta. Step forward. They say, I at 27 years after this. Isa, I'm talk to my people. And people appreciate life. Because you have some brethren and some sister and some brother and some sister. Every time you come out of your house, kiss your kids, kiss your family and say, I'm stepping out. I may not be back because it's Jack control life. And if I don't, just remember I said I love you. Remember, love life. Yeah? It's a Maka Diamond, Lady Star, all them people we are sing about, we love all of them. But this is music, I would have sing like we want to be. And we can't sing anything about the commissioner, superintendent, 11, 12, dent, Dodos, Zeeks, anybody. If you don't like it, jump in our chest. Selassie, I know a long time we have done this. Rastafari, I know thanks for life. I have to step out because I was step cross principal.
You can't step away yet, man. You're mad. And see ninja. The ninja just a come here. Wait. Hold on. Gone up there, sir. Your name Dan Gargan, but me a Speng Gargan. And you know, say, if you want combination in front of center, just take a mic out of me.
What about the Charlie Chaplin? You must live a madman. Come and tell the Dan Gargan boy want please get in a combination. You look on me foot and see how them me dress, you know, man. Two different foot could even be blasted. Understand this? I wanna slippers with socks. I'm a real bad man. With a desert classic color blue, but it's dirty, you know, man. Charlie Chaplin. Now you should, but look like it. New brand. In a full suit of white with chain and ring with a diamond. With a piece of what come like you come like mama bun pan. You fit dash with that Chaplin. Come here.
Why? We don't know what me are going to do with him. And me grow him. But him know say me dangerous. Him know say me dangerous. You remember when time you go test Merciless and me tell you say when you are going a clash you must come talk to me first. And then you make them gang you and trick you, hide your gun them and give you empty gun and shot you. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Leng say ninja man, go test the youth mercy. And who said the youth never have any mercy. When ninja dead, it was 5:30. You me look on them and tell you now. When me hear say Merciless, same one kill you. Me tell Merciless, same can't kill you. Me tell Merciless, same happy bill you. Because that 10,000 gal a trill you.
Charlie Chaplin, you must understand. Only a ninja can kill a ninja. Me have it done, Gargan. Merciless. Him look like them all rusty thing pan down to him dressing, then dash that way down in a liver dump plan. Them the DJ can come to me in a competition, but then give me about 2.5 million. And remember say I don't a prison, don't a GP, me did just a come from. Me did hungry, me did thirsty, and me did want something in him. So me take it and go and send me go a Villa Mansion. Me and Keisha live up there and turn Dan Gaga.
Hold on, take it down low. So you want to tell me, say a true leng you 2 million, make you make them and them send you go a bone land and make people have your name on radio station and talk about Merciless kill you 1:45. I mean, I want you long up your mouth when me talk, boy, answer my question.
Listen, Charlie Chaplin, me ask you again if you're a madman. In a third World Cup, when she ratted this shot time, man, jump in a barrel and say me a dead man. You see that happen when me round the microphone stand? Lyrics can't defeat the blasted Dan Gargan. So look for Ratty when he rise all day. Blasted weapon and go. Want me after your Charlie Chaplin and this no understand. Me tell say, Mama where them get me from, me say them can't stand the man. It could have been Nebuchadnezzar, I could have been King of Babylon. He better go back up in bed in my mama. Sardine pan because you could have big.
And where them get him from? Come here, man. Come here, sir. Them say anytime you're on the Gargan bus, our worries and problem are the first them hear your chat, so. You remember how me get for name Spen Gargan? You know, say I want to carry me in a drive, come see a sentence, and one boy use a ratchet knife and cut me from my hand, and me back me ice pick and joke out in belly bottom. And the police them carry me go lock me up at station. Me never quarrel, me just sit down and wait till about 1. Then me look and me see about 4 police in at the station. Me just nyam out the gun out of the policeman them hand. And nyam off the radio car them a hand the left one. And nyam down the whole of the police station. And that's how Charlie Chaplin get fit on Gargan.
But listen me, Charlie Chaplin, anybody get name him wrong. Cause you should never name Spen Gargan. Your right name is Termite Gargan, cause you are termite when you am done at the people in police station. You about the blasted gun out of the policeman hand. You know how me get fit on the Dan Gargan, chew me hand up and give Saddam 1 world of bomb and give Bin Laden the 2 plane when at the Twin Tower and taking a land. We never know that the man them a living blasted madman when them George Bush say one for retaliate me give him 1,000 M1 and send some gun go get to the one.
What wanna say about Ninja? Why? You don't know. Come here, Ninja. Well it. I show them how it go. Well it, lift up with him. I saw we assure them.
Hold on, teacher. I'm going to ask you something. You're going like Congo, give me some can't talk. You're going to me know culture like you. So you want to start a culture thing in here?
Me no must know you if me bill you. Eh? Show me a hide and I use rubber knife for cut you and it not have bleed. If you talk too long, me use a real knife cut you. And you know that too. Come over here, so your career I take off for Japan. And it I take off in Europe. And me I give you 2 more months to reach number 1. But I want you to talk culture for the people then.
2 more months to reach number 1. Me a number 0, me come before 1.
Come out here, Sir Brigadier, the General. Come out here, Sir Chaplain. Sorry, my brother Josie Whale kind of host. But you see the other day, Daddy Ride take me and carry me to Josie Whale and Charlie Chaplain and said this boy cause too much bad, but this boy kill too much people, and this boy do too much wrongs. And when Daddy Ride bring me to Brigadier and Charlie Chaplain, Brigadier said this boy want dip in the healing stream. And when Brigadier did me one time and me got up back, and he did me 2 times and me get up back, and he did me 3 times and me get up back, I'm tell you what me see. Listen, Chaplain, yeah. Me see the sun start shine again, and the rain now fall again. Me no see no breeze now blow again. Mama ban her belly and start fall again. Me see the sun start shine again, and the rain now fall again. You don't see no breeze now blow again. Poopa put the hand on the head and start fall again. Chaplain tell me where me see the rivers and the tree them get dry again. All the leaf and the tree them start die again. Oh no, fi start talk truth and stop lie again. A full time fi sentence you then get a bly again. Every day another man my rubber fly again. For what, for when, for why the youth them just a die again. But when the sun starts shine again, and the rain now fall again, me no see no breeze now blow again. Mama ban her belly and start fall again. And when the sun starts shine again, but yeah, the next part no, the other day they say Ninja Man done. Bunty all of the pan radio talk about how me a pest in career. Who is Bunty if he call me pest? When me a the gargan we rise all DJ and put them to the foundation. But now they hear me say me fans them get mad again, the whole of them a run a come back. Bunty a come talk, don't a man devil about saying we put on me in career a ground make me walk on him. Me no walk on people career, me rise that. So me glad, but Bunty me a go tell you this and me ask no one question. I won't no do no that no can control me. What kind of rope you not go use feet tie me? When go for chain and the chain cannot roll me. And me say one they call a holy solo. I was a old picture frame. And nobody never used to go. Mother there!
General, come here. Come here, sir. Wait, I'm point you now if you run back dance hall, but we have to clean you up. You think that this just keeps up? Put your hand on him head there. General, we have to clean you up, low. And when we attack, we are confuse the devil. We are confuse the devil. Low, hear me now. Hear me now. Hammer it. Hear me now. Say my mama braka naka zap zap. Isaac my brak. Kanak.
Hold on there, man. Me don't like them, they clean up them. Me don't like how you are chat. It sound like you are come from one of the Wobia man shop. Me think you ever say, Lord have mercy, have need mercy, but Ninja Man for this, but here you go, higher, kana.
We just down and tell the people.
Hold it. Boy, Ninja, come back up here. Come, no. Me hear them say you have photographic memory. Come here. Come here, Ninja. Let me show you where I go on. Come back here, son. Stand up there, son, man. You know, say when you lick, you know, for run, man. You have to turn up to take back lick. Take it down lower. When me say mama mabra naka zap zap, Isaac mabrak kanak tarif na playam. Lower. Tarif na playam. Zabata tabat. Had the devil that a come and me turn that back. You have a city lock and you a fire peak shot. Me a one a God flock. Me depend the rock. The vice where you knock. The spirit where you shock. The man will tighten up the people them when they slack. It no matter if me don't got no clothes for me back. No matter if me don't got.
Alright, let's start now. Start now. Imagine, hear this part, you know? This, bun me till me cause ball for brata. You know I'm cooking me basket, but we carry water. And I go tell me about bringing the end of the blasted pata when on the rim. No, he don't send for mom and say bring him back, yeah. I send for Colonel Josie, well, me go hot up this spot, yeah, because I'm me name Ninja Man, and I'm me a the danger. And you name Charlie Chaplin, but you come here fit with fire, but me a the youth. We come here, we roll like thunder, and me we flash like lightning, and make every man life over them say, only a ninja member say can't kill a ninja, and I will slip from your and fly towards your little finger. And when me a pass through the area, me will leak like water, because me a lyrics when me a make. Me don't know when me a chat, you know, about that top at the top of me head. Me a take off them, ya one, yeah, because me look out at the crowd, and hear this, ya. Oh, Lord. All right, here what now. Here what now. Me feel like I don't get as much. And me can't go in my yard. So here what now. Me I bring back the teacher and the principal to come mash up the place, guys. My time done. And you what now. Me have a AK-47 in my vehicle. And me have 2 handguns. And me a look for the promoter, me a good while and can't find himself. When you get bam bam and me shot him down. So for me money, me a go run you down. So me see you when the next time me come. Come in, Brigadier.
Live it up, live it up. I don't know, say, a Rastafari. I deal with God Almighty, original dancehall. So me I say, so that's how we have to deal with it now. And people, remember, all of the people in here where drink all them strong alcohol, don't drive. Park your car and take a taxi. You know, because the same liquor where you drink can take your life. You hear me I say? So listen. Bring it back on them. Bring it back on them. Bring it back on them. Me back on them. Me back on them. Bring it back on them. Bring it back on them. Once I was a reckless car driver, not even a girl like a Simon could never see him. While I was driving down through Fern Gully, and my gas ran out on me in the middle of Fern Gully. When I am on carburetor start to bubble, Captain Selassie I slap a gas station in front of I. Lord, in front of brigade, in front of brigade. And a Captain Selassie I slap a gas station in front of brigade. Because my heart is filled with love. Oh yes, love, love. When Selassie I, the Savior, saved me. His precious blood that Babylon shed seems to wash the dreadlocks whiter than snow. I and I heal this world that I and I stole, and walk the streets of ice, green and gold. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful day. Oh, yesterday, when Selassie I wash my sins away. One more time until it out again, sailing on. Judge a lifeboat sailing on. Come and say, sailing on. Rasta people judge a lifeboat sailing on. Do remember Selassie I, when it's the vessel, I love him so. A lifeboat sailing on. What was the principal?
Yes, General. When I show them a truth. A morning ride, we are go down in a now, no man. You me tell them. Come and say Daniel was in the spirit. And that last day, when he hear a voice from Zion, and this is what it said. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Behold, I live forever. Oh.
But it is not. So according to the Health Ministry, the individual has been in quarantine for 8 days and was moved to isolation today after being detected to have elevated temperature.
Samples have been taken and will be processed by the National Influenza Center and sent overseas for testing. This is the first time that we have detected symptoms in any patient or person who is being monitored, and have had to move a patient or individual from quarantine to isolation.
For this patient, the patient has an elevated temperature, okay? It is not at the level that we would consider it to be a fever. What it is a progression, okay? And therefore a cause for concern, okay? So this person, the temperature may settle down, and this person, the temperature may continue to rise. What is important is that we have a rise in temperature in a person who has traveled to an area of concern.
Did not reveal the person's gender, but what we know is that the individual recently arrived in the island from one of the worst affected provinces in China. The individual was among 116 persons who arrived in the last 2 weeks from China. However, only 10 persons have been quarantined in government facilities, while others have been quarantined at home.
The quarantine situation that we have now has picked up some early changes that we are monitoring, and as per our protocol, this person has been isolated. So under isolation conditions now, if this person continues to develop symptoms, then this person would be separated from other persons who they could pass the virus onto, and they will be nursed in a controlled situation to prevent any spread either to other members of the public or to healthcare professionals.
Herman, Jamaica does not have the ability to test for the novel coronavirus. We asked the ministry how long it would take for the results from the test samples to return.
The sample has been taken and it is going to be sent for testing. And then within another 2 or 3 days, we will get back that result and we can either clear the patient or we continue isolation.
And of course, I will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as they become available.
Queen Omega and King Alpha sit on his throne just to rule us all. Now, behold, and how good and how pleasant it is for our brethren to dwell together in unity and love. It's like precious ointment from above. Now I'm leaving this wonderland far away, where day no night, it's only day. Yeah! Peace and love, brother, peace and love. It was from above, love. You gotta keep on rocking down the line. Gotta keep on rocking one time. Sounds called Jaman, the old man of creation. Yeah. I'm going to the wonderland so far away. thanks and give praise. King Alpha and Queen Omega. Sounds called Jaman. Happens to be on the go. Sounds to see that you never know. Yeah! Work it, brother. Keep on working, sure. Keep on working down the line. Gotta work it one time. Stand. Let it stand forever. Yeah! Rock it, brother. Rock it, I say. Oh, yeah. In any old way. I'm now leaving the scene. This is Rockfoot Rock. So, hey youth man, take off them music there and forward this Rockfoot Rock. We back. Shout to that. You know. Rockfoot Rock. I got the beat back. So when you think of stop, the king of sound was back. Good guys. Shop for that. You know. All that to stop, you know. And that shit don't blow. From the top I say, Rockfoot Rock. Each and every day, I got to rock it up. I got to shock it up. We back. Good God. That's how we tell you. Got to rule along the way. Rockfoot Rock. We back. We back as I would say. Oh yeah. Do it. One time. You got to rock it up, I say. Coming from the top. Rockfoot Rock. Here come Rockfoot Rock. I never stop, I never stop. I got to rock it up, I say. Rockfoot Rock. I got to shock it up along the way. From the back, you know. Rockfoot Rock.
First up this evening, the residents of Rockfort in East Kingston speaking out about the terror they're enduring because of gang and gun violence.
The community wants agencies like the police and people like politicians to do more to help stop the crime. But why don't they move, and what are they willing to do to stem the violence themselves?
They called a press briefing today to make their case. Their story is our top story. TVJ's Anthony Lugg reports.
It heart-rending for talk about, you know. It heart-rending for talk about. Mr. D, we are beg you no. Please, with all we heart, it have to stop. No man, something have to be done. I mean, I run left my one. Because it's by me, not capture it. I mean, now left to give them Filipina. So something have to do.
Desperate pleas from residents of Rockfort St. Andrew at a press briefing Friday. This briefing at the Rockfort Development Council's headquarters. They came here to say they've had enough of the gun battles involving men from communities such as Oliver Road and Jarrett Lane.
People yeah, me there Harborview stay because I can't stay with my kids them. Them come up, then kick off over door, them want kick off, them move out them furniture out of them house and them carry gun for them yard and left the people them without furniture. So what else is going to happen?
One of the most recent shootings was on Independence Day. 2 weeks later, the residents seemed stunned by what happened back then.
We sit down in there, you know, and they have a nose, and one turn up with the long gun, and the next one, I have it up in my nose hole. You know, I tell where your friend them run down there, and I mean they do so.
I mean 6:30, shots still a bus, not police. Where them there? You cast 111 so we're tired. Nobody not come in. So what we if you do? Go out the door, go look for you out that do it?
They believe the police are not doing enough.
Every time the police them come, yeah man, we have it under control. You see when they make one pass through or two pass through, it done for the night. And them gunman here, for them time, at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. You see when them start 3-4 o'clock, it'll go straight in daylight. And you're there pleasant item when you hear about police, people from down the road can tell you, say, police, they're Boston corner.